Episode 3 is definitely a fan service episode with some familiar creatures and a familiar character who is sort of the name of the franchise, so to speak, or at least the face of the franchise. That's about as far as I'll go before I spoil anything. And I am going to spoil everything in this episode, so if you haven't watched it yet, make sure to pause, go catch it, come back, we'll talk about it. But you've had your warning. I will be spoiling all of episode 3 here, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's dive in. This episode was really cool in the sense that we got to see some creatures. More creatures are always good. More abominations are always good. And we also saw, which was a great fan service moment, the creation of Fallout Boy, basically, essentially, with Cooper, who is now the ghoul. So we got a little back and forth with him. So let's see here. The one storyline is basically the ghoul. I mean, everyone's tracking the head at this point, and Lucy's got the head. Unfortunately, Lucy loses the head to said abomination, which is a gulper, I think is what it was called, if I remember correctly. Um, and it goes off down into the water, and she goes off after it, only to find the ghoul pointing her gun at her head, and he takes her prisoner, and basically they're on a hunt now to go somewhere else because he says it's going to digest slowly. We got other things to do. And so he takes her off and they go trekking across the wasteland. And while that's happening, we get the back in time components with the ghoul's character, Cooper's character, and we see him with his wife and his daughter. And it's a very interesting thing because it's a day on set when he's been playing the sheriff on this TV show, and they want him to change. They want him to become a bad guy now and kill the guy on the ground beneath him instead of just arresting him. And he's questioning all of this, and he finds out that the guy who was the showrunner for years has been fired. And they brought in this new guy who's like, if you want to keep your job, you're going to have to do this. And at the same time, his wife has apparently convinced him to do a advertising campaign for Vault Tech, where he becomes the thumbs up guy. Now, what's very interesting about this is while this is taking place, during the photo shoot, he's feeling very uncomfortable with everything else, and he's asking questions. And the two people from Vault Tech actually look over at his wife like they're asking for permission, and she gives them a nod. And it's like, wait, so they're working for her? She's the one in charge of all of this? And so she works for Vault Tech, and her husband's an actor, and so she's nefariously using her husband for this? Like, very interesting. Figuring out what's going on with her and who she is, maybe, and a little bit more backstory about Vault Tech. Now, the other interesting storyline here is Norm, Lucy's brother, who's back in the vault, and he's watching everything just fall apart. Essentially, they've got prisoners left over from the raiders who attacked them, and they're keeping the prisoners. And um, without a leader, without an overseer, it's basically boiling down to multiple people trying to run the show, and they're trying to do it as a council, and that just doesn't work. There's too much bickering, too much infighting, and they're wanting to do something about the prisoners, and everyone's like, let's rehabilitate them, let's bring them back into our society, show them that we're part of making a better world, and show those surface dwellers as well that this is how you make a better world. And everyone starts rattling off the things they could teach them. I could teach them Shakespeare. I could teach them calculus. I could teach them advanced physics and all these things because the vault dwellers have been trained with all these things. And Norm basically is like, I don't think they could be trained. Like, they're just animals. I think we should do to them what they were going to do to us. And everyone's like, oh my God, no! Except for the blonde lady whose husband died, who has an eye patch now. She's like on board for it. She's like, yeah, let's do that. Let's get rid of these guys. So we're seeing that society in the vault, lacking an overseer and everything else, is basically degenerating. We're going back to the tribal nature of humanity, and if I had to guess, there's going to be more violence before there is true peace, because there's going to be infighting that breaks out amongst them to figure out what to do with those prisoners. And he may even take it upon himself. I'm just forecasting here what I think could potentially happen. He might even take it upon himself to just take care of them somehow, because he seems to be that type of a character. He's not stupid, and he's looking at all these people like, you guys are a bunch of idiots and you're going to die because you're acting like cretins. So it's very interesting with him. Lucy was kind of a third wheel in this episode because she's essentially just the prisoner of the ghoul as they're traveling. Um, and the other subplot here is Max, who is in town and he has to go get this piece fixed for his machine, for his armor suit, and he leaves the armor suit to go get this thing replaced. He gets a tooth pulled to sell enough caps to buy the piece, but to buy the repair he needs. Gets back and finds it being torn apart by scavengers. Gets the shit beat out of him. Eventually fights his way back. Gets into the suit. Crushes the guy's head. And just when he thinks he's finished everything, here come the here comes the a helicopter with a replacement Squire. And before, I forgot to mention earlier, before he had the fight, well, you've seen this, so you know this, when he rips the radio out, he's talking to home base, and they think he's Titus, and he's not told them otherwise. So he has assumed the role of Titus. When he sees the quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. The copter coming that's dropping his replacement Squire, even though he told him no, I don't want it, and he ripped the radio out, thinking that was going to be enough. Turns out it's one of the guys who was beating up on him in the camp earlier. And so he has it in his mind to torture the guy, but then as they're talking and he's demanding that the kid tell him about his life and everything else, the kid expresses remorse, saying that, I was the one who was beat up on in the previous camp. And when I got to the Brotherhood of Steel camp, I thought it would be interesting to see if I could get him to beat up on someone else. And so you were the new, not you, but Max was the new guy. So I convinced them to beat up on him, and they left me alone. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't getting beat up on, and that felt good. But now that he's dead, because he thinks Max is dead, he's like, I really feel bad for what I did, and I wish that he just would have lived long enough to like find the next person in that chain and like find another kid to bully and set everybody up, because that's just the way of the land. And Max essentially acknowledges this from inside the suit, where he's just like, that's just, it's the law of the wasteland. So he's trying to conceal his identity from everyone, and I don't know how long that's going to be able to be kept up. But they are also searching for the head because they need to capture the guy, as because basically for Max, if he can capture this head and bring it back, no one's going to question anything. He'll be able to be the night hero because no one's going to care about who he is beyond that. So everybody's after the head. I think this is probably the slower episode out of the first three because this one does character building. So the first two episodes, we did character introductions in the first episode. We did world building in the second episode. We do character building in the third episode. So the next episode, which is the halfway point, should, if I had to guess, it'll be a convergence episode, probably with some action set pieces, but we'll see. But overall, great episode. Really enjoying it. They've got the feel down. I love the suit of armor. It's very well done, and the music, of course, is spot on. And the Fall Out Boy thing was a nice Easter egg for fans of the franchise. So can't wait to see where the rest of this goes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily reviews of these episodes as I continue to watch it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe. Don't forget the playlist down below if you want to watch the previous ones.